welcome to Linc Kids Online. It is awesome to be doing Kids Church with you in your homes during this lockdown season. We are in the series on the shoulders of giants, and I'm so excited about it. So listen up, lean in as we enter into worship together.
Called Savior, have you heard of His perfect love? Have you heard of the one in heaven? Have you heard how He gave His Son? 'Cause I have found this love, I believe in the Son. Show me your way. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will nothing will ever change that. I believe in the one called Savior. I believe He's the risen one. I believe that I'll live forever. I believe that my King will come, 'cause I have found this love. I believe in the Son. Show me your way. Nothing will ever change that. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change that. You will always be, forever you and me. Oh, nothing will ever change. Jesus, you are my best friend, and you will always be, and nothing will ever change.
Amazing was that song. I love worshiping together. And today we're going to be jumping straight into one of the major giants of our faith, and his name is Daniel. There's a book about him in the Bible, so go and read it. In particular, we're going to be looking at Daniel 6 today. So go home, open your Bibles, and read Daniel 6. It's an amazing, incredible story. I'm sure most of you know it and have heard of it before. And we're going to be looking at how Daniel had this supernatural power called trust. He trusted in God in the most incredible way, and that's what stood him aside from everybody else. So we're going to learn about that today, and I'm going to jump straight into the story with you. So Daniel was a man who served King Darius in the kingdom. He served alongside a couple of other people, but he was one of the leaders. Darius put him in charge of a whole bunch of people that he oversaw. And he worked so faithfully. He was so faithful with what God put in his hand. He just worked so hard. He was studious, he was kind, he was generous, he never did anything wrong. And so he quickly gained more and more favor with the King Darius. And Darius decided that he was going to put Daniel in charge of the entire land. Now, as you can imagine, the other guys that served with him were so jealous of Daniel. They couldn't believe that he was being given this special priority, being able to rule over the entire land and over them. And they were not happy about this. So they decided to come up with a plan. And they were looking for a way that they could trick Daniel, but they just could not find one thing wrong with him. He was so faithful, so generous, so kind-hearted. He had a beautiful, pure heart, and they couldn't find anything wrong with him. They knew that the only way they could trick Daniel was regarding his faith, because he was a faithful man. He served God with everything he had. He was religiously faithful. He prayed 3 times a day to Jesus. And so what they did, they went to King Darius and they said, Darius, I think that it would be an amazing thing if everybody in the land had to worship you for 30 days. And I think you should write a law about this. So he did. He thought, oh yeah, that would be awesome. Like, who doesn't want people to worship them? So he decided this would be a great thing. He would sign a law and state a law that everybody in the land would have to worship him for 30 days. And so they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. They knew this was the only way they would trick Daniel, because he would never do that. He would never bow down to other gods. He loved God, and Jesus was the only God that Daniel would serve. So he wrote the law, and this now became the law. But of course, Daniel wasn't prepared to do this. He was not prepared to bow down and worship other gods. And so he continued with his daily rituals and knelt down 3 times a day, prayed to Jesus, praised him, thanked him for everything he'd been given. He was such a grateful man, Daniel. And that was the way that they tracked him. His friends went to King Darius and said, you won't believe it. Daniel is refusing to do what you've asked of him. He's refusing to bow down and worship you. And he needs to be chucked into the lion's den. That is what they wrote in the law, that whoever did not obey had to be fed to the lions. Now, the lion's den in the olden days was the only way that they literally just got rid of humans. They starved those lions for weeks on end, and when they wanted to get rid of people, they just chucked them in and the lions would devour them. And so, as you can imagine, 5 or 6 lions in a den would be starving and willing to just devour whatever was thrown at them. And Darius was very upset about this because he loved Daniel. He didn't want Daniel to be hurt at all. And he knew that he had to follow through because he had made this law. Now he had to follow through with it. So he agreed and he said, okay, you can throw Daniel into the lion's den. But he was so upset about it, he said to Daniel before they threw him in, he said, Daniel, I pray and hope that your God can save you from the lions. Daniel wasn't worried. I mean, I'm sure he must have been a little bit scared, but he had so much trust and faith in God. So when they threw him into the lion's den, King Darius was devastated. He felt so sick. He could not sleep that whole night. He fasted the entire night and he prayed to Daniel's God. Can you believe it? He never knew Jesus and he never knew God, but he prayed to Daniel's God and asked him to protect Daniel. And I'm sure Daniel prayed too. Anyway, the next morning, bright and early, he raced down to the lion's den, got there and called out to him, Daniel, are you alive? Has your God managed to save you? He waited for a while and listened. And up from the bottom of the pit, Daniel shouted, yes, praise Jesus. He sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions and he has saved me. My God has found me to be faithful and true, and he has chosen to save me. And so Darius was overjoyed. He ran around the town just rejoicing. He got Daniel out of the lion's pit, obviously, and he actually threw all those guys that came up with that law and plotted against Daniel into the pit, and the lions devoured them in 5 seconds flat. And so from this incredible story, we learn that Daniel could have done one of many things. One, he could have turned against what he truly believed in. And we often find ourselves in those situations. You might find yourself in peer pressure, being persuaded to do stuff that you know is not right and that you know that you shouldn't be doing. But stand firm in what you believe. Stand firm in what God's called you to. Know that you are noble and honest and true, because God sees that. Even though nobody else around you and maybe your friends don't see that, God sees that and he rewards people that are faithful to him and love him. And number 2, God always works things to the good of those he loves. As you can see in Daniel's situation, he loved Daniel so much. He saw Daniel's good works, and so he worked the situation to his good. Daniel was a man of great trust. That was his supernatural power. He trusted in God. Even in the hardest situations, he chose to trust. And that's the word I want to leave with you today. Trust in God. Trust in Jesus, that he is for you and not against you, and that he will outwork the best for your life. So we have an incredible quiz coming up with a couple of people and some quiz questions from today's story. Listen up and see if you can remember some of these answers. Awesome. Welcome to our Daniel and the Lion's Den quiz show. We have some awesome contestants with us today. JD Make a Million, awesome Ash, and Bob's your uncle. And they are here to join us to answer some questions about our lesson today. So listen up, lean in, follow us, and keep track of your scores as well as we do this together. Are you guys ready?
Yes!
You may not touch the buzzer until I have completed the entire question. Okay, that's rule number 1. Are you ready?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Question 1. What was the king's name that put Daniel in the lion's den?
King Darius.
Ooh. Okay, JD, you are on that. You were very fast. Okay, King Darius,
It's like
yes.
you knew the question.
1 point to JD. Are you ready? Question number 2.
I'm ready.
What was Daniel's secret weapon? Yes, Ash.
Trust.
Trust, yes. Daniel had an amazing amount of trust in the Lord, and that was his secret weapon to save him. What do you call a lion, a group of lions? Oh, Bobby, you were fast on the mark.
Pride.
A pride, yes. Pride is correct. True or false? Question number 4. Lions are social animals. Oh, JD.
True.
True, yes, lions are social animals. Question number 5. Are lions hunters or...
Oh, what? You can't. That's cheating.
I didn't finish the
They
question.
forfeited that
Didn't finish the question.
Okay, let's go again. Are lions hunters or scavengers? Ash.
They're hunters, bro.
Hunters. They are hunters. All right.
Aw.
Okay, how far are we on points here? 1. JD, you have 1 point.
Okay.
2.
2 points.
2 points.
I have
3
2 or
points
3.
to Ash. No cheating, Ash.
1? How many? No, I've got 2.
But the greatest weapon is trust.
Trust, and
Yeah.
this one, 2.
You
Okay.
must not laugh.
Bobs, you have 1 point. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That doesn't add up to 5. So 2, 2, and 1. I think we are
Yeah,
on.
you got 2. bro.
Right.
3.
Question number 6. Was Daniel guilty or innocent? Ooh.
Innocent.
JD, innocent. He was innocent.
I think she-
3 points to
Can I just say,
JD.
this buzzer was like on their end of it. I can't even read it.
Okay. Central buzzer. Question number 7. What was the first thing Daniel said to King Darius when he asked if God had saved him from the lions?
Oh, Bobs, that was you.
No,
that
no,
was you.
no, my hand was on top of
no,
it.
no, but you got
You
there
don't have to
first.
feel sorry for me. Just
Ash, you were first. Go.
I think, Bridge, he said, long live King Darius.
Yes, he did. He did. He honored the king despite being thrown into the lion's den.
Wow.
Just a testament to his character.
Wow.
Awesome.
This is fun.
Okay, so we currently have a tie. JD 3 points, Ash 3 points. Bobby, you have 1 point. Let's go.
2.
Question 2. Okay, no, that doesn't
Too
add
little,
up to
too
7.
little. Okay, let's go. Carry on.
Question number 7. What was the first thing Daniel said to King Darius? Ooh, I asked that already. Question
That
8.
was mine.
Long live King Darius.
Sorry. Question number 8. Who closed the mouth of the lion? Ooh, JD, you were fast.
Who was it, JD?
Meshach.
No, you can't. What are you doing?
Bob, no, that's not correct.
Aw.
It
Ash.
was an angel, Bridge.
An angel, yes, an angel closed the mouth of the lions.
Bonus points, you know the angel's name.
Awesome.
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Harold.
That's my
That's kidding.
Right, question number 9. We have, let's just tally up the points. 4 points to JD, 3
You
points
have
to
3. I
Ash.
have 4. I got this one, the angel one.
Okay, 3 points to JD, 4 points to Ash, 1 point
I'm
to
basically
Bobby. Right, number 9. A lion's roar can be heard from far away.
5 kilometers.
1. Ooh, good
That
guess.
wasn't an option yet, though. This is weird.
1, 5, or 10 kilometers. I'm going to give that to you, JD. 5 kilometers. You can hear a lion's roar from 5 kilometers away. Awesome. Are you ready?
Woo!
Last and final question. How many people did Daniel's trust in God influence?
Wait.
I touched.
Okay.
Ash,
Bridge. A nation.
an entire nation. Yes, Ash has that right. An entire nation. Daniel's trust influenced an entire nation for Jesus. Thank you guys for participating. We have how many points over here? JD, you have 4 points.
4 points.
Ash, you have 5 points. No, 6 points.
I have 5 points.
5 points. And Bobby, you have 1 point. We have a winner.
That's right.
Ash,
Last question
awesome
wins.
Ash. You are the winner. Congratulations. Awesome. Thank you for joining us for this amazing quiz show. It was awesome to be doing Kidz Church with you. Join us next week for another amazing On the Shoulder of Giants lesson. Woohoo!
I'm reading my B-I-B-L-E, and this is what it says to me. It tells me that I'm never ever alone. I'm learning how J-E-S-U-S came down to us and gave his best. Without a doubt, the best friend you'll ever know. Our God knows exactly what I need, so I remember this. Let's go! When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door. When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door. Oh, oh. I'm reading my B-I-B-L-E, and this is what it says to me. It tells me that I'm never ever alone. I'm learning how J-E-S-U-S came down to us and gave his best. Without a doubt, the best friend you'll ever know. Our God knows exactly what I need, so I remember this. Let's go! When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door. When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door. Oh, whoa. When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door. When you ask, he cares. When you seek, he's there. When you knock, 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 God opens up the door.